Welcome to the Tough Fish Show. I am so excited to bring to you Julie Nee and Amy P. Kelly. Thank you both for being on the show. I am so excited to have you both here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was such perfect
You're going to
timing.
hear us do that in unison thing more than once, I'm sure.
I love that. I love that. So let's do this. Let's start. Julie, tell me, how did you get into writing?
Well, interestingly, I have been spending a lot of time around writers in recent years. So my background is in consumer packaged goods and sales leadership. And during that time, about little more than 10 years ago, one of my teammates gave me a copy of John Gordon's book, The Energy Bus. And that was the beginning of a journey into reading all of John Gordon's books, applying them at my team at Hershey. And then after some time, becoming such a fan of John that I started working with him. And I've been working with John for the past 8.5 years and really just watching John do what he does and watching people around us. A lot of people on our team are authors, and really just seeing what's possible through the environment and the people around me. I just started getting some ideas. And my first book launched last year, Mirror Mirror, and I had a note on my phone for over a year where I was just adding notes, adding notes, adding notes. And then finally, I was talking about, well, I'm going to write a book someday. And it's like, okay, well, what are you waiting for? Let's write the book now. You have the notes, you have the idea. Let's go ahead and write it. So that was the first one. And then I'm sure we'll share more as we're together today about how Amy and I ended up partnering on You Grow Girl. But this is my second one, and Amy has some books as well.
I was going to say, I know that Amy co-authored the Energy Bus with John. That's another book that I love. And so, but
The Energy
Amy,
Bus Field Guide, just to make sure. He wrote the Energy Bus, and then I co-authored the Energy Bus Field Guide to be a companion piece with that.
thank you for that. And I'm so excited you mentioned companion piece because we're going to be talking about your companion pieces too. But Amy, how did you get into writing?
Well, I will tell you, the first time that I knew I wanted to write, I didn't know in what form, was really in college when I had a dear friend and we would go to be invited to read our creative writing work. And myself and this other individual, his name's Matt Garapi, sometimes our class would kind of go, ugh, because they knew we took it so seriously. And we were like, here's my dissertation I'm going to read for you. And I don't think that I ever had that much natural talent at it, but I really enjoyed attempting to communicate and share ideas and learn about other people's ideas. So it's been a long time that I've enjoyed that.
I love that. And so, what I'm hearing with both of you, though, is that there's passion behind it. There's a love there. And when you're following something that you love, when you're following something that brings you joy, that lights you up, that, when you're basically following new breadcrumbs as to where can that take you? Where can that take you? And you both followed breadcrumbs that brought you together. So, how did you two meet and then decide you're going to co-author a book?
Well, it's a funny story. So we both actually ended up working for John Gordon, and we have been for almost the same amount of time, over 8 years. We've been working with John, speaking on his behalf, delivering workshops and trainings. But really, over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been creating a ton of content for John together. So we have built basically all the trainings and workshops that John has ever offered and currently offers, we created. And over the last few years, we've spent so much time on Zoom that we literally call each other Zoommates, because it's almost like we were living together. That's how much time we've spent together on Zoom. And we realized that we work really well together. And when we create something together, it's better than it would have been if we created it alone. Yes.
Yes.
So we decided, let's work on a project together. And Amy had the original inspiration for this idea of You Grow Girl, and the inspiration was for a journal. And she said, do you want to do this journal with me? And I said, of course I want to do it with you. And we shared it with John on Zoom last summer. And he said, Oh, well, first he said, I'm launching a journal in 2024. So we said, oh, well, we should share that we're also going to be launching a journal in 2024. So we shared the journal and he said, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. You need to write the book first. And we were like, okay, I guess we're writing a book. So it ended up, that's really how it started, to be a book and a journal. And we had a lot of discussion about, do we launch the book first and then follow with the journal, or how should we approach the whole thing? And really, we decided to launch them both together because we believed that they both should be launched together on International Women's Day. And that's what we did earlier this year.
Oh, I love that. Amy, please add to that because I mean, to get the idea going and then you think you're going to go in one direction, but you get new inspiration, new information, and change the trajectory just a little bit, but you're now putting the other one first that you might not have thought of. Talk about that for me, Amy.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that Julie did a great job of explaining, and just us discovering how much better our end product is when we are able to collaborate reminded us of that, something many people know, which is we all need support. And when you have great support, you elevate ideas and you also enjoy the journey. We believe even more. So it was really exciting to bring together what we've learned from John, what we've learned from life, and direct it toward women of all ages and stages that we feel uniquely called to just share the bits that we've learned and just sort of definitely build a community where others can pursue the same. You know, it's the subtitle is Plant and Pursue the Power of You. And that's intended to make people see you're unique, you're special. You know, we're not the only ones to say that. And so are the different ways to pursue that. There are lots of different paths and books to read, and we love those things. And this was our contribution to that particular space. And you're right, it has a lot of love, a lot of passion, a lot of commitment. And we knew that in addition to reading, we wanted people to take action, and that a journal would be a vehicle that is research backed to say this is a proven methodology to make those things start to happen more swiftly. And we wanted people to get results and to, you know, feel that momentum of the pursue, you know, increase. And so we decided to put those two resources together.
Okay, so here's what I'm hearing. Like as the book was coming together, so it's got the concepts. This is what I'm teaching in a sense, or this is what I want you to consider, reader, buying into this mindset or taking steps. But in order to help you make those steps, here's the follow-on piece, or you can work them at the same time. And this is helping you make those transitions, achieve those steps, just making it happen a little bit more efficiently than just reading and letting the reader rely on the one piece, the one book alone to do that. So when you were writing the books, when you were working on both of them, did one take more precedence than the other? Like as you were writing a chapter, for instance, in the book itself, did the companion piece start to develop right afterwards? Or was it, let's get one of the manuscripts done first and then come back through and work the other one and then come back through again and see how they pair together? And are both pieces where they need to be?
They are. I'm jumping in. They are where they need to be. And Jen, we put stories and lessons in the book. Cool. Because we wanted to come from a place not of subject matter expert, but of relatable female friend, godmother, you know, aunt, wherever we would fit in someone's journey, and share this is the hard lesson that we learned or the valuable lesson that we learned, and from both our vantage points on a similar topic. And then this is what we've seen work. And so we feel like it's sitting down and reading. I feel like it's reading. Someone said it's very personal. I feel like I read some of your diary, you know, with your stories and the things that you and Julie both shared. And we tried to be very transparent so that we could come from a place of understanding, not, you know, expertise or condescension or anything
Right.
of that sort. And then deliver the action, advice, wisdom, best practices that we've seen develop and work for other individuals as well as ourselves. And then the journal is designed, we have 9 different letters in the structure in the book called cultivate. So the word cultivate actually stands for different growth elements inside You Grow Girl, Plant and Pursue the Power of You. And then the journal is sectioned in chapters based on the cultivate structure in 10-day increments. So it's not a week, it's 10 full days that you focus on the C, the U, the L, the T, because that will have given you 90 days of application and ability to interact. And 90 days equals a quarter of the year, equals enough time to actually change behavior and bring your commitment to yourself to grow, girl, to life.
And here's what else I'm hearing with that, because I love this. And I can see somebody, so I believe a book, when you read it the first time, it's meeting you where you are, right? And especially with nonfiction, if you've made some changes, you've had a shift in your mindset, even if it's a little bit, even if you've done some things, you've changed in some way. So let's say you reread that book 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, because I definitely have reread books. I definitely do that quite a bit. But where I am when I read it the second time, I'm not in the same place. I've had other life experiences. I've applied the learnings. I've grown. I've changed. I've improved. So that book should send another message to me to help me move to the very next level. And that's also what I'm hearing that this is doing, that basically it's not a one and done feeling. It's really something that it's building upon it. Julie, what are your thoughts here?
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And between the book and the journal, there are so many opportunities to grow at any point wherever you are. So inside the book, we have what we call seed planting pauses. And there are questions in each chapter for people to pause and really reflect and write about in their growth journey inside whichever letter we're in. So those pauses are really connected to what you just talked about. So if I answer the questions inside the C, for example, the C is create the environment for growth. So if I answer those questions today, and then I answer them again in 6 months, of course, those answers are going to be completely different. So you absolutely could come back and revisit it. And also, even with the journal, we understand that we designed it very intentional for a 90-day process, but we understand that sometimes people skip a day, or maybe they want to start at the U, which is unlocking courage and confidence, or I want to start at the T, which is transplant as you grow. So it doesn't have to be done in order. So whatever you or any reader needs at any given time, they can start wherever they feel called to start, and it still works. It doesn't have to be in that exact order.
I love that so much. So when you were working on this together, what was that process like? So if we have listeners here who are writers and maybe they're contemplating co-authoring a book, or maybe they're in the process of co-authoring a book, and they really want to come out of that process feeling so synergistic with that person, not just before starting, but also during and obviously afterwards, because you two are so synergistic. I mean, you guys, I feel like you're finishing each other's sentences, and if anybody is just listening to this podcast versus seeing the video for it, they even have similar color tops. I feel like I should have gotten the memo to this, because I
We should
love
have shared that. Yes.
I seriously love pink, and I would definitely have rocked that for you guys. So but I love that I feel the connection and the synergy between you. So what would you say to some writers out there who might be working on a co-authoring book and could benefit from some tips to make sure it's the best this relationship they can get?
Yes, well, it's interesting that you asked that, because I think different co-authors do it in different ways. Some people say, I'll do this chapter, you will alternate chapters. Others say, you start a draft and then I'll edit the draft. But for us, we decided we were going to write every bit of it together. So there is not one paragraph that was written when we were not together on Zoom. And we it was hard. I mean, just the scheduling of the time to make that happen was hard. I mean, we were grabbing pockets on many weekends and nights and in little segments and in longer segments, but we would be in the Google Doc. Obviously we're doing a shared document, and somebody would be typing and we could take turns typing, and someone would say, yeah, that doesn't sound enough like my voice or your voice or whatever. And we really did learn that our voices are different, and that's okay.
Mhm.
So we had times where we were telling stories. So when we told a story, we would say, I, and then it says in the book, parentheses, Julie, da, 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 and I would share the story. And same for Amy's, I, Amy. But all the other times when we weren't in the middle of a story, I feel like we kind of merged our voices together, because I have a very casual voice and Amy has a very professional voice. So we kind of just merged them into the middle. So it sounds like both of us. Do you agree, Amy? Do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, we had such profound respect for each other. And I think that's the first time I really realized that, Julie, that we didn't write anything on our own. And here's why. Because when we were together, we started out discussing the idea, and then someone would say, oh, and this, and that would lead to the other, oh, and this. And it was useless to write independently because it wasn't as good. And that's just our process. But we knew that if we allocated enough time and we fueled each other's creativity, that everything was 100x what it started out. And that's what we've really learned. Like Julie was referencing the last 4 years, she just brings so much light and expertise and just a wonderful, partnership to all of our work. And we knew that an endeavor to help other women grow would be better because of that. And that's why we wanted to do it that way. But just having each other together, being committed, and we also encouraged each other in the own work that we were doing, because just like Julie said with the seed planting, she thought of something we realized about pausing. Women have a real challenge in slowing down. We don't have anyone who has ever said to us that they don't need to take better care of themselves in some way. And Julie's idea was, oh, we should be pause partners. And I said, not only is that appropriate because of my stage of life, but it's really about pausing and reflecting and giving each other encouragement to slow down. And we do that for each other too. So we are about getting things done. And we also committed to helping each other even more fully live the things that we know work.
What was coming to me is that when you're using pauses strategically, which is what I'm hearing you say, that it's actually building a stronger practice for you in general. It's building a stronger practice in your workspace, working with your team, working on your projects, working on the things that you are doing for a livelihood or a passion. But those pauses help you with your family and the things you do for you. Because if you're not taking those pauses, well, how can you give to others? And I think women too want to nurture and they tend to pour into others. And to your point about maybe not taking the pause, they also might put other things ahead of that because they're not pausing. And so to me, what I also hear you saying is that you're basically giving your reader permission to say, hey, let's take a little break right now. Yes, you've taken a break with me because you're reading with us, but I want you to do this now just a little bit more just for you. It's kind of my co-author, when he and I worked on our leadership book, we talked about the difference between here, like, can you raise your hand? Yeah. Can you do it a little bit more? Yeah. And that little delta is that extra. And that's what I hear you offering by that strategic pause. Yes, you've raised your hand saying, yes, I'll read. Can you do that little bit more and do that pause and that exercise in here too? Yes. And you're going to get more out of it because you've gone that extra mile. Oh, I love that so much.
Julie, I'll cut off fast. Julie can do this even better than I can. She likes to flip through the pages and go, look at how beautiful they are. I know you
It
can't see
is
them all,
beautiful.
But inside the journal, when you're talking about pausing, it's designed to do that. We have coloring pages and inspiring quotes and making sweet lists of ways that you can empower yourself. And the structure goes from planting, talking about you yielding to the present moment and opening your heart and your mind and uncovering what is on your heart and mind, and then pursuing, and then how to unlock your power. So it's really exciting to also see, before I turn it back to you, Julie, is our daughters and girls of all ages and say, I've needed to do these things too. Our daughters are both in college and they have fast-paced lives, and so do young professionals, and so do people who are, quote, retired and, still super active, needing to slow down, make some space for yourself, and nourish that special thing inside of you.
Yes, I would love to add to that because our daughters are similar in age. My daughter's 20, and she actually was reading the book the other day, and she took a screenshot. She took a picture of the page she was reading about pausing and putting yourself first. And she said, I'm going to remind you of this next time you want to keep grinding and running and doing all the things. I love that my daughter was also holding me accountable, but I think that's the piece. It's loving each other and encouraging each other enough to help each other pause. Amy actually, when we spoke earlier this morning, she said, so how are you going to pause today? She knows I'm not at home. I'm in the hospital helping with some things with my in-laws. And she said, how are you going to do your pause? And I'm in my head, I'm like, ha ha, but I can't. We're accountable to each other, right? So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the lobby and I'm going to go outside on the ground somewhere and I'm going to take a few minutes to pause. And then she shared what her pause is going to be today. So even in the midst of our nurturing and grinding and everything else, we can find small moments to do it. It doesn't have to be a day at the spa. And actually, a day at the spa isn't really the antidote to all the things anyway. It's really having that moment for ourselves with ourselves.
I would love for you to talk about the interior pages because seriously, Amy, when you did flip through them and I could catch pieces, I was like, that is stunning. And the interior of the book, the formatting of a book is so important. And sometimes authors think that they can do it themselves, and maybe they can, and maybe they have that skill set. I do not. I would rather have somebody who is a subject matter expert who knows how to beautify the interior, because especially with nonfiction, what that's doing is it continuing the street cred that the message that the book has in it. It creates the ability to say, hey, this book has some substance to it because it was lovingly and professionally laid out. So, and your book is gorgeous. That interior is beautiful. Talk to me about how you worked through that, and when you were seeing the pages come together and your proofs. Just talk to me about that.
It's so funny because Amy always elevates everything that we do. I mean, she really gets it. And we were so intentional about having a lot of detail. So for example, every letter in the word cultivate has an icon that we had developed for us by a graphic artist. So we have our own icons, and the icons are in the beginning of each chapter. So you can see right here, this is the icon for unlocking courage and confidence. And those icons are used not only at the beginning of every chapter in the book, but yes, Amy's holding up the coloring pages. We actually kind of secretly embedded the icon of the specific coloring page, whichever chapter, we embedded the icons in the journal chapters also. So it's just, everything is just really well integrated. I know that might not be the full answer to your question, but also even the fonts. We wanted a clean font. We wanted some a nice quote, full quote in each chapter. And then we wanted the seed planting pauses to really be able to stand out. So that's when people would know how to pause. And we did some things along the way that our publisher would say, and specifically in the journal, that's a little bit unconventional. And we were like, yeah, we're good. That's exactly how we want it. So
I like that.
we really, Amy especially was so vigilant with me and us about saying, we want our own icons. We want our own coloring pages. We want all the things that we can use into forever. really,
Yes.
that are ours. We're not using just some Google clip art for these things or some generic coloring pages. Like everything really is ours and it's designed the way it's designed for a reason.
I love that. And so one of the reasons is one, you made it your own. And I love the fact that your publisher said, hey, this is a little unconventional. And you said, thanks, we're good. Because the other part of that is you knew your vision and you stayed to your vision. And I say that all the time to writers by saying, your vision is what you were given that for a reason. So you are the right person to share it. Trust your vision. Even if an editor like me is coming along going, hey, what about, and you don't agree, it's okay. And, or if I'm suggesting something for, a speaking engagement, but it's your space. You have to be comfortable for that. And what I also love is the fact that you had those pieces designed. Now you can use them strategically when you're doing speaking engagements, when you're doing different sort of workshops or pieces. You can pull out one particular piece. You could have different workshops off of each level, and you're pulling off of that specific icon and playing off of it. Oh, see, this is love language to me, because I really believe that books are like, I love you too. You're so much fun. But when I think books are a natural extension of a business as a way, as a conduit into the business. And when you think about that more than just, well, it's a transactional purchase. Well, it doesn't have to be. It is at the start, but it doesn't have to be. If you have ways to amplify that message, and you can, and what you are talking about are brilliant ways to do that. So let's talk about the marketing in a sense for this book, because not only do you have these unique pieces that you can play with and use all sorts of places, your website, your socials, wherever, but you did some neat things to help market the book and continuing to do that. Please share.
Well, we sent out some mailers to some folks. We'll call them VIP. Really, every reader, we really do believe that every reader is a VIP. We do believe that. What we'll say is, you understand, I don't know Oprah or Ellen DeGeneres or some of these folks, and we made a list of amazing women that over our lives had helped us grow and that we thought embodied some of the things in the book. And so we sent them. This one has a cancellation on it because it got returned to sender, but this was to Ellen DeGeneres. She's a you grow girl. And we sent those out. Only a couple out of our whole list have gotten returned. And we're just believing that they're going into the hands of the right women who embody growth and development. And it's exciting because we know they'll be inspired. They'll reach the right people. And we're hoping that someone out there knows Ellen DeGeneres and says, we still have a package for her, a book and a journal that she could color in and use with her own planting and pursuing her power. The other thing that I just want to share is, I believe someday that the G in the word grow, will be just as well known as the Nike swoosh. That will stand alone on hats. And, just as women planting and pursuing the power that's uniquely theirs and supporting each other in it. That alone isn't completely a new idea. The way we do it has a very specific context through the book and the journal. So it's exciting, and we're going to continue to do things like that. And also, in building our community, we're going to start to have some growing together workshops. Some of our things we'll be doing for clients and women's groups and corporations, ERGs, employee research groups, and wellness groups, and also leadership development. And we'll also offer some things for anyone in our community to come in and to learn about different concepts as just a service to the world.
This is such like a love language to me, because what I hear is going back to that beginning idea of, there was love and passion going into this book because you cared about the topic, you cared about the message, you cared about the people that you wanted to serve, the women you wanted to serve, the reader. And when you have that love going, then the idea of promoting, talking about the book, sharing the book, getting the book into the right hands, it feels like a natural extension of that, because it's back to your enthusiasm and your joy. And it just feels, so then the creative ideas come to play, like, how else might I be able to do this? Or what opportunities can I say yes to? Or if you did say no, you know that you said no because you have a vision that you are honoring, and you're staying true to that too. So I feel like this is such a love language. This makes my heart so, so happy. But I love the fact that you also like to your point, there's the branding going on with You Grow Girl. It's in the covers, it's in the designs, because all of those things are strategic and they're playing off of each other. And that's something that I think is really, really cool when a writer starts to create that branding. And that branding can be seen throughout because of the consistent fonts, because of the strategic design elements that are going in. Then that also helps with recognition, even without the author's name. It's, I've seen that, I know that. And you're creating more awareness because of that. Talk to me a little bit more about how you came up with what you wanted to see so that you you knew if a writer's listening going, I need to do this, where might they start?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. So when we first started having the logo designed, we were like, well, let's just go to Fiverr or, Upwork or one of those things. And if I could show you the logo designs that were originally designed on Fiverr, you would laugh hysterically. So they were horrible. We gave it about 3 rounds, and then we said, okay, we need to hire someone, a branding company, to help us do this. And I think I can speak for both of us and say that we are so grateful that we did, because exactly what you just said, the fonts are aligned, the flowers are aligned. I mean, I would challenge you to find something, any element in the book and journal and logo and graphics that are not fully aligned. The flowers that you see on our virtual backgrounds right now and on our logo and on our journal are the same flower. When we have a book launch party, we have actual fresh flowers that are those exact flowers. So, I mean, we are really trying not to miss a detail in terms of having everything be so integrated. But we had to have help. And I think your point is right that I think we talked about this actually before we started recording, but we're not good at everything. And Amy and I know what we're good at. And being graphic designers and branding people is not what our core strong suit is. So we had to hire it out.
Yeah, we still call ourselves sometimes clip art cowgirls, because we don't design, we just clip and clip and clip. And obviously we couldn't do that to create our own brand. We needed to create unique assets. And I will just say, because I know she thinks this too, shout out to all the great design. We got a couple amazing designs from Fiverr too. What it was Julie taught me during that experience. She said multiple times to me, she said, you know what? I don't think our direction was clear. And during that process, we got more clear on what we wanted. And we knew it when we saw it by the time that we got some different professional support, and we were like, that's it. And we both knew, and it was boom. And she served me so well in that, because I really did notice. I'm like, oh, you don't know what pink flower I want? Because people would just give us any pink flower, some pink flower. We're like, that's not the right one. It's like, well, all we said was a pink flower, or we want a really creative letter that can stand alone. And, that was their interpretation. So it was just a fun process, a learning experience. And we needed someone who understood how to create the whole branding set of colors. And our publisher, I will just say, when Streamline publishing the Streamline books, it was their first journal that they did. And the whole team went out of their way to really help us achieve our vision, because they were like, you want this? And we said, yes. And they worked with us because we saw it, and we had to help other people see it. And that's ultimately what we got to, and why you see Julie beaming and me beaming and us flipping through the pages, because we were like, I can't wait till everyone gets this, because we were very patient, sort of. I'll say sort of patient, but very clear on our vision.
Yes, yes, I definitely, when you know the why, you know that vision, and you're really clear, that's like your North Star. That helps you to know, am I hitting the mark? Am I not? Does it feel right? Does it not? I totally, that's 100%. I resonate with that so much. This has been such a fantastic conversation. You both just rock. Where can people connect with you? Where can they get your books? Julie, where can people connect with you specifically? Tell me individually, and how we can then also get to You Grow Girl specifically.
Okay. So for me, it's, yes, exactly. You're pointing at the thing. So for me personally, it's just julienee.com or at julienee108 on Instagram. And for You Grow Girl, yes, if you're watching, you can see our Instagram handle on the virtual background, but it is at yougrowgirlcommunity.com or just at yougrowgirlcommunity, excuse me. And then our website is you-grow-girl.com. So the dashes are important. There are lots of gardening websites and things like that under a similar URLs. So we have the dashes in between to make sure you can reach us. And then Amy, how about yours?
Well, I will just say for today, that I want you to go to you-grow-girl.com. That's where I want to see you, because through there, you can see everything we spoke about, and it will feed you in the right direction for all of the other trips you can take. But please start your trip there.
Awesome. And I presume that that's also a wonderful place for people to start where they want to purchase the books. At
They
awesome.
can start there, and they, of course, can go to Amazon as well. So either one of those ways works.
Fantastic. Thank you both. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Amy. I'm so glad you're both on the show. This has been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.